the latest top tips, reviews and advice, please subscribe below.
Hello and welcome to Attwoolls Outdoors with me, Mike. Today I'm giving you guys a bit of a review video on a brand new tent from Vango. So this here is the Vango Ventanas TC 650 XL. So in a nutshell, what it really is a polycotton version of the Vango Ventanas which they ran with for 2020 and 2021. So for the new 2021 season going forward, what they've sort of done is really create this kind of, I'd say almost like middle ground between the Vango Cupola and then the Anantara, something that in my opinion is very good for value, offers more space than probably you will need, and you've still got the ability you can add on to it. So it's a really well priced model that looks smart and has really key features that in fact the two I've mentioned don't actually have, so it fits in the range really nicely. What we got here is a polycotton tent, so it's really breathable. You've got more like a classical kind of style, so on a hot day what you find is the weave will actually open, allow air to pass through, and on the cold day keep it in. So not only do you get that sort of breathability, you get an awful lot less condensation inside the actual tent, but also you find the durability of it. This sort of tent will last probably 2 or 3 times longer than your traditional sort of polyester. Other things to bear in mind as well is that it's better in kind of those going abroad or even in the UK. You will notice a temperature difference because it breathes between a polyester and polycotton. So it's going to be much more comfortable. You've got that sort of more natural fabric, not that sort of synthetic kind of flapping around. So it's actually quieter in the wind as well. Admittedly, it is heavier. You know, you're talking around about 1/3 heavier in terms of weight in comparison to its sort of polyester counterpart. And it might take a little bit longer to dry out. But for me, I think the pros outweigh the cons, and if you can happily manage with a slightly heavier bag weight and a slightly bulkier bag weight, I should say, it is worth the, you will reap the rewards further on down the line. The joy is this is sort of a 6-person tent and very generous at that as well. So you've got sleeping at the back, a main sort of living area which is quite generous, and then a canopy sort of front awning area, if you will, for your sort of wet dry section. You've got a storage pod built onto the side of it as well, as you can see here. So that also benefits. It means it takes all the clutter away from the main sort of part of the living area, and a brow canopy with a full mesh door. So it gives you the flexibility. If it is chucking down rain, you can actually seal the front of the door up and use this as your entrance in and out, so not have to worry about the water coming in. As well, it's not many on the tents on the market have this kind of full mesh side bit as well. So again, you can get airflow into the actual tent, but got that sort of bug-free protection as and when you need to. The Ventanas boasts loads of features, things like webbing storm straps sort of all around the tent, not just the front and back, easy adjustable parts as well. Little flints in the guide points here, so when you've got your torch in, you can clearly see where you're going to. Obviously alloy pole for the rain canopy as well. Easy sliders allow you to tension the guide points quite nice and neatly. Low level ventilation beneath the windows to help that circulation of air. And obviously the side pole, which I have also mentioned as well. The real sort of kind of colour scheme is really nice and neutral, and this sort of TC fabric just helps. It's very easy to get a sort of a polycotton tent looking really nice and crisp and taut on top. That's the joys of kind of that natural kind of fabric. Other things as well as little webbing straps located at nearly all the main points, so you can happily get a good sort of solid fixture and then a tension as you need to. Located on the actual front of the actual part as well is also a zip located here. So there are a number of extensions you can add to this if you want to make it bigger for any reason. So you can go down lines of just sort of a sun canopy, a canopy which is sort of roof and sides, or a full-on front extension which has a built-in kind of mesh front part as well. So with this, as well as being the TC model in comparison to the polyester, is this particular one, it's got a really quite clever door that opens up between the two areas, so you can have it as one big open living area, very much like the Anantara had and has for the many years now. So with the polycotton model, that's one defining feature which the polycotton has, which the polyester doesn't. On the front as well, you've got this really nice sort of enclosure, so you can obviously zip it up and keep the weather completely out. Alternatively, have the door kind of in 3 positions, so sort of 1/3 open, sort of 2/3 or fully open to get the full amount. You've got a second zip located as well, so if you want to sort of have it closed but have a little bit of an airflow running through the front, you can also do that. Big crystal clear windows are sort of around the whole tent, which you can clearly see, so you get plenty of lighting as well. You've got low level sort of curtains as well, which essentially means you have complete privacy as and when you want to. The door can be put back in different positions, like I said, and every single point there's a toggle point and also a little metal point located here to take the weight off the zip. Oversized zips are located here as well, so it means that through time and through lots of use, you haven't got that problem. That's really one of the things that was maybe one of the negative points of the Antara, as brilliant as it is it's got a very complex sort of front door with lots more going on. This being a more sort of simple design, it's worked for years, and to be fair, it still gives you plenty of versatility, probably more than you're ever going to use anyway. The whole tent comes in a really nice roll pack smart bag, so you've got a really great solid base, 3 wheels located on the bottom, 2 carry handles at either end, so it makes it easier when there's 2 of you lifting it in and out of the car, obviously with that little bit more extra weight. The other thing is pretty decent about this sort of part is that you can easily roll the actual tent into the bag itself. So the sides drop down. You've got a little folding guide, so it gives you a sort of a maximum width to fit it in the tent, so you can get that right when you start to fold it around. When you get to this point here and you've got it kind of rolled in a nice big sausage, you've got compression straps located in the bag as well. So what you can actually do is compress the tent before it's in the bag. So compresses like so. You can then tension it, so it's compressed here, roll it into the bag, and then once this is all sort of kind of zipped back up again, you've got a second tension point across here to really make sure it fits in. And that's one of the sort of benefits of this kind of bag, so it's designed. That means packing away is a lot easier than you want it to be. Other finer details you see on the Ventanas are things like little ties to put your webbing straps neatly away, so you haven't got to worry about necessarily it being a big bunch or getting tangled when you sort of pack it away. But I'll tell you what, let's go inside the Ventanas TC and talk for a few more features that it has to offer. So now inside of Ventanas, you can quite clearly see the sheer amount of space you've got in here. Not only have you got like a very generous sort of front awning section, but then the sheer size in the living area is pretty boastful, to be perfectly honest with you. Overall, I've actually rolled the front door fully back, so we've got this really nice open kind of canopy, so you can benefit from having all of the air coming through, plenty of ventilation. It's a nice day, you've got a bit of shelter from the sun, but haven't got to worry too much about anything else really. Now, in the front awning section, you get a ground sheet included for this point, and it sort of toggles in, toggles out, and creates almost like an overlap from the underneath, so it feels as good as a sewn-in ground sheet. So you see, and it clips in place, just located down there, so it's nice and sealed. For me, what I've done is almost fold it back in half, so as that door comes back at the front, you've almost got your little bit of kind of wet area here, or you can have half the ground sheet down, and then you've got your bit of dry, or alternatively moving it all together. Immediately, if you have the front door fully open, I would always recommend taking it out, otherwise the water's just going to collect there. Overall, the height in the whole tent is pretty amazing. I mean, I'm about 6'2". I can stand up more than happily in here, have my arms fully stretched to the roof, and it helps to make it feel bigger than it actually is. And if you look actually on the floor plan, it's only about a 440 width, which isn't the biggest tent on the market, but because you've got these kind of villa construction beams where you've got a very kind of upright, kind of bulky sort of style, it means that you've got great internal headroom. So me being 6'2", I can stand up perfectly in the corner, and I'm nice and close to the edge there. So not only does it make it feel bigger, but it means you can maximise your space inside of here. Put things like furniture and tables closer up to the side, because you're not having to allow for the slope coming in the one end. The door on the outside, which you saw we talked about with the fully meshed to get that airflow through, with that canopy built onto it. The divisional door between sort of the awning area and kind of the main living area has flexibility that you can obviously zip it up completely or roll it back all the way, so you have it sort of in its half position or fully open. So it all becomes, like I say, if the front door's in, this whole section then becomes a living area. The ability to add a canopy on the front, that means that in theory could be your wet dry area or your cooking base. So you've got loads of room that you need it to be. The panel here also has a full mesh part as well to allow air to flow through the tent, and again you've still got privacy curtains on that sort of point here. What I'll do actually, we'll roll this door back, just undo the little bracer, and you've actually, to be fair, got a second zip as well, so you can still get airflow coming in through. So we'll open this up nice and neatly, take that back all the way. Again, still little metal retaining points at all the points here, just to make sure that you're not putting any extra strain through that zip. So I'll tell you what, I'll just bung that in the corner for the time being. You can roll it quite nice and neatly. We'll just chuck it down the way. This then kind of flap in many ways can toggle up and toggle down. So you can then create a trip-free access in and out the tent. So I mean, that can go down, same all the way, take through there. And that really helps to kind of open up and really make it feel as part of the main living area. And as soon as you do that, the tent just kind of keeps going and going. And it's only a fraction smaller than the Anatara, but in terms of width and size, you know, it feels just as big. And the fact you've got a storage pod, which the Anatara doesn't have, for me, it means that probably this area becomes more useful space. The problem with Anatara maybe is, because you haven't got the side pod, you end up just putting your kind of rubbish, or your kit, or the bag, or the toilet, or wardrobes in the way. Having it neatly tucked out of the way with a portable toilet, or, you know, even, you can just about stand up, and to be fair, even that, it goes down quite deep. You've got a curtain like so, so you can zip it out of the way, out of sight, out of mind. Living area space, really quite generous. You can actually buy an additional bedroom as well if you want to sleep 8 people. So it just goes in here and actually goes onto the kind of Skytrack system. The villa construction, which says very boxy, you also find it's actually got their supersized beams. So really nice strong beams, helps with the additional weight of the actual material, but gives you that a little bit more structure against those windier weather. A manual pump can supply with the tent, and you're only looking at about a 7 psi to sort of put into the tent. So it's quite a low pressure system really. And you can see from our own Attwoolls pitching and packing videos, it only took me best part of about 12 minutes to pitch this whole thing on my own, which means it's brilliant for going away for a weekend if you really want to, but ideally a week, and means hopefully it's not going to be a divorce in the bag when you've got to put up, when you've got kids and also your partner to take care of. When we get back to the sleeping area, so this is a true 6-person, so you give basically 70 centimeters per person in the sleeping, so it's a very, very generous 6. What you find is that it's divided up into 3 sections, so we've got a sort of a 2, 2 and a 2, but there's zip dividers between each section, so you've got a physical divide between one and the other, and it feels like its own individual inner tent. The flexibility that actually you can unzip it all open, have it as completely one big open 6 berth, or say a 4 and a 2, 2 and a 4. The bedrooms are staggered a bit as well, so what you find is you have a 120 width, a 160 and a 140. So your 160 in the middle is going to be your master bedroom. So what you find is that for high-rise airbeds and things like that, or extra large, you know, well, roll mats, that sort of thing, it happily takes it in the width. You still get an airbed and things at either side of here, but one thing you also find with the depth of the bedroom as well, it runs about 245 deep. So again, it doesn't matter how high you go up, you'll still fit it in here, and that's the same for all the bedrooms. That bit extra side really helps, means that camp beds can properly feel at home in here, and you haven't got to worry. The darker inner hopefully makes you sleep in a bit lighter, well, a bit longer as well, and keep that sort of early morning light out. When you zip yourself in, it really does feel quite dark, but snug at the same time. High level ventilation also helps with the airflow and helps with the condensation, like we saw it down below in the windows like so. Obviously plenty of light comes through all the windows as well. What you find is you've got crystal clear windows to help with that, and then zip up curtains. Joys of zip up curtains, it's very thorough, easier to pack away, and you can kind of have it halfway if you want to, or again fully up, so very easy to chop and change. A slight pattern to that as well, so you can't really sort of see out as such. Again, you can roll it down, choose your level if you wanted to. Failing that, take it all the way down right to the bottom, and it creates its own little sort of pocket, so you can just roll it down, a single toggle point to really keep it at bay if you wanted to, and then pull the zips up, sits nice and neatly in there, and no hassle. In the Ventanas, you've also got key features like storage pockets. So you've got storage pockets built in to kind of the palmet located on both sides, even in the low level in the bedroom here. So it means you can put sort of thing like keys, torches, phones quite happily there. So when you wake up in the middle of the night and you need to pop out, you know exactly where you can go for that. Nice big ventilation panel again is also located in this kind of the front door. So if the bedrooms are a little bit too dark for you, what you can also find is that you can kind of leave that mesh completely open for the kids. And it means you get a little bit of daylight coming through. So again, just takes kind of the edge off it, but keeps it all nice and neat. You've got again this palmet that kind of hides the kind of tassels and tabs as you see for that point there. And Vango's kind of legendary Skytrack system, which gives you the ability to create a hanger point pretty much anywhere in the tent. So it's perfect for lighting, to have lighting going along kind of the Skytrack system or in between the beams. Failing that, Find storage pockets located down here, means that you can completely declutter your main body of the actual tent itself. One other thing you've got is Vango's kind of TBS system, so it's a tension band system, it's like an internal kind of bracing guide points, which you can put up and down as you please. What it kind of does, it creates a triangle formation with the actual external points. So you only put them in sort of very windy weather, but if I'm being honest, 99% of people probably never use them, let alone know they exist. So you can tension that a little bit, just give it a little bit of point, so it creates a real nice triangle point. So when you've got the wind coming from one side particularly, it just braces it, keeps its structure, gives it a bit more. So it's something they've used in their kind of high-end backpacking tents, but filter into all of their kind of family tents, anything of this kind of design. But I'll tell you what, let's pick the camera up now, a bit more of a feel for the inside of the Ventanas, and see why, in my opinion, probably it's the best polycotton model from value anyway on the market. So, as we can see, really spacious with the door all the way open. You can see how much area there is. The ground sheet, like we talked about earlier, so you've got the flexibility of having it down or not. Big old windows in the side as well with, again, toggle sort of zip-up curtains located there, and that kind of design of the tube. When you're sort of in the front of it, you can see the sheer amount of space you got in there. The mesh door with that brow canopy for that entrance as well. And then in the sort of the little pod at the back, it's about 1 metre deep by approximately about 1.25 wide. So you can get a fair bit of kit in there. And like I said, it creates almost like a great area for a portable toilet or just for general storage. The SkyTrack system you can see kind of is this new clear one, which is the SkyTrack 2, for free actually now. So it's a bit more of a robust SkyTrack for the 2021 season going forward. The storage pocket's located on there, and again, mesh on the side door to get that airflow. So fine, you can't really see it, to be honest with you. The door, which you saw, located on there, and low-level ventilation beneath the windows in both sections, but it kind of gives you a bit more of an idea when you're kind of in here and looking round, kind of the width and then how different the dark bedrooms really are. So as the kind of light adjusts, you can appreciate that is that's quite happily dark. You've got little sort of, again, ventilation points in the corners to give a little bit of light in. To be fair, it's that dark, can't pick the cameras up. So again, you should hopefully get a good night's sleep quite happily in there. Other things to probably mention is you've got little cable entry points, so low-level cable entry points, so located down in the corner down there. So you've got one on the left, you've got one on the front in the main door, and then there's also should be one in the right here. So it doesn't really matter which way your mains cable's coming through. You can quite happily, accommodate it for it, so you're not going to have to run a cable in or out a long time. Also on the top here, you've got a cable entry point, so if you want to run a cable running through the roof directly into the SkyTrack, which you've also got on the front beam, you can quite happily do that as well. We'll go a little sort of walk around the tent just to give you a bit more of a feel of it. But you're looking in terms of the tent itself, I believe it's around about sort of 99 tent footprint and carpet. So from a price point of view as well, it's £1,500 for a complete package deal. You're looking at a lot of tent there really, especially when you think it's polycotton. And then a big nice vent at the top again to help with the airflow. But you see how well it sits just being polycotton, and that kind of two-tone kind of grey works really nicely. Each individual air beam as well is done individually, so you can pump it up as you can see, like I said, as per our pitching video, and the manual pump comes applied with it, even a little ventilation panel above that storage section as well. But overall, I think Vango real made a sort of a winner here. It's a tent that isn't going to be in a lot of places, to be quite exclusive, so you won't see every sort of kind of retailer or Tom, Dick and Harry sort of doing it. So it's going to be one of those things. I think what they've done is sort of take the best of kind of their back catalogue of features with the SkyTrack, the storage pod, the darker bedrooms, put it in a tent that's probably a lot more affordable than what you might see elsewhere. So we feel it's going to be a real big hit really, just because I think the sizing works. It's big without being too big. You've got the depth and space in the bedrooms, storage pod, decent amount of living area, the supersized beams, the ground sheet, the enclosure, the side door with the mesh on it, You know, it's all these things do add up to make a tent that, especially at the price it's going to be, I think really great value. So it's definitely one to watch. Certainly one we'll have up on our indoor showroom. So you want to get a real feel for it, by all means, you know, come and look at it in the flesh, feel the quality of the material and the sort of the sheer almost space that you've got inside of it. But yeah, any more queries, feel free to let us know. But that's kind of our little video review on the brand new Vango Ventanas TC 650 XL.